J with F.
This is Apollo Control, Houston, 83 hours at 27.
All your systems are looking good. Going around the corner, we'll see you on the other side, over.
Andamos ciento y pico en la carretera, la baby con los rosaditos en la cartera. Si nos vemos volando eso una panamera. Al escuchar el motor la baby se altera. Baby yo soy tu rao, tú mismo.
Hello, my name is Juan Jose Estrada. My artist and producer name is Jafo. Today, I'm quite glad. I'm so happy for the opportunity to be here with one of the, the most amazing producers. Like I know, I respect him a lot. He's such a great person, and this is gonna be a space for learning. Apart from just getting opinions and questions, it's more about learning. So all this can, absorb as much as they can from this more, expert. So without giving more introduction, DUKUS, hello man.
How's it going, you good?
Yeah, all good bro. How's it going?
Good, busy but good.
Always working, you never stop.
Always working. That's the motto.
Bro, but I'm so happy. Thank you for having me today.
Good.
I always respect your work. I've been many times when I could just working with you, and it's a pleasure today to be here and being interviewing you. And yeah, I'm so happy. Thank you.
Cool.
So I've got some questions for you. As I told you previously, we got some sections for the interview, and I think it's quite important for people to get this information from you, from your experience and your honesty, and it's so important to have this documented.
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with the first question. What does your artist producer name mean, and why?
DUKUS. I used to be an idiot in school, so people always saying do first, such a do firsty. It was just one of those situations where I used to wear a jacket from the basketball team Duke. So Duke was I used to wear a lot of basketball tops that had Duke. So eventually it was a case of do first, DUKUS. So I merged the names, and then I used to play computer games like Street Fighter and all these things. So I used to go Trocadero and play arcades, and then I entered a tournament and they said, what's your name? And I just wrote down DUKUS. And so then that's how I stayed with my name, DUKUS.
And that's how it is.
Yeah, it's a stupid name,
because I was doing some research about you and your life and your work, and it's I never found anything about it. What does it mean? Is it something with your name or family or anything like that?
Nah, it's just a stupid name. I
No,
should probably change the name.
I don't think you should change the name, but it's important to know what it means. Is the meaning of your brand, is the meaning of something you've been working on for a long time. So I think it's quite important to know.
Yeah, I think in English people say DUKUS, they don't know how to say it, and whereas in Spanish people go DUKUS. So it's always got a different sound in different languages. So in a way I kind of like it because it's unique,
Yeah.
Nobody has that sort of a name. When they hear it, be like DUKUS.
DUKUS.
So it's just weird. So I like it because it's weird,
Yeah, that was a question I had from a long time. Never got the chance to ask you that, but it's okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Why did you decide to become a producer and an artist? I know that you got some family background on that, your dad, your mom as well, and you've been growing up with this kind of, context surrounding you. But why to become a producer and an artist? Because obviously some people tend to, take something else, do another kind of studies or anything like that after coming up school, or I don't know. What is it apart from being a passion, or I don't know?
Well, I was playing piano since I was very young, and I would always make up ideas on the piano. And then my friend used to be a rapper, so whenever he used to rap, I used to play piano, make kind of beatboxing, beats, and mess around and record stuff. But then in secondary school is when they had a little studio set up, and my friend used to rap and I used to make the beats, but they weren't that good. I learned how to use Logic and all this stuff there, but it was just a case of I had an idea about how to rap, so I kind of first started rapping, and it wasn't that good. I was terrible. Then I went on to singing and understanding singing because I used to go to church. So when I used to go to church, I learned a lot about singing. I was in the church choir, so I understood a lot about melody, harmonies, where to sing, you know. And then eventually I ended up being like a lead singer in the choir. So that's when I was going to choir, church and all this stuff, but it wasn't for me. But I had the knowledge. So studying piano with my dad from young, being in a choir from young, that helped me understand music a lot. So when it came to like being in school and logic and all this stuff, I could kind of work a little bit fast, the ideas. Then eventually I just started producing myself. I started playing with a band. So it was kind of like rock music, but different kind of alternative music. A lot of shouting, you know, I had a mohawk. Yeah, you know, those
I
pictures.
can't imagine you.
Nobody
No.
can find those pictures, deleted from the internet everywhere. But yeah, like, you know, that's the kind of music. I learned all kinds of music before I started doing the music that people know me for now. So yeah, just wanted to produce myself. I had a lot of good ideas that I kind of wanted to find a way to put those ideas together, you know.
Have you ever felt like you were born for it, or like, you know, there was a point in your life where you had to realize, like, you know, I'm not good at anything else. I'm just good at this. Or have you ever thought about it, like, you know?
Yeah, no, like I worked in HMV when I was like much younger, like when I was 17 or 18, and it just wasn't for me. Like I could just tell that I was so bored in that job and it just wasn't for me. So when I started really pursuing the music, I started doing like battle rapping and stuff like this. So I learned how to rap and I would go and battle people on stage, that whole thing. And while I was doing all of this and making songs with a lot of people in that scene, a record label, some producers noticed me and my friend and they wanted to sign us. So we was always around studios, learning from a lot of good producers, a lot of people. But while I was in those studios is when I learned the most about music and how to go about doing stuff in the industry. So from when I was 18, I didn't really have any other jobs. I got signed to a label when I was 18. Things didn't go so great. They were all right for maybe a year or two. Then things went really bad, but I made quite a bit of money. I wrote a song for Craig David. I didn't get any royalties, but they gave me a lot of money up front. So at a young age, I kind of got myself in these situations that made me think, damn, you know, I can do this. And stopped doing music for a little bit. But then again, you know, I got back to the music, you know, like producing and doing stuff with people to the point where, you know, I realized, you know what, if I do this properly, I could actually record people, engineer people, because I understood so many things while I was working in the studios I was working at. So it just became a natural transition where the place where I was living, I set up a little home studio. And yeah, I never went to university or anything like that. It was just a case of, I just knew I had to do music, you know?
I read that you basically started your business around 2011. Is that right? 2011, no.
No, I would say I just started in 2013 is when I got my first opportunity in the industry.
Okay.
So 2011, I had a little home studio.
Okay.
And it got burgled. So like they stole all my equipment, all my stuff. Yeah. So I wanted to give up. I was just like,
so frustrating, man.
Yeah,
like, jeez.
all my music, I didn't back it up. I had 2 laptops, 2 MacBook Pros. They stole it and I was just like, I want to give up music. I don't want to do music. But then my uncle who passed away, he and my cousin invested in an iMac for me. He said, no, you got to keep doing the music and you got to keep pushing, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, you know, that motivated me to work a lot. And that's when, around that time, a couple of years later, is when I met Gigs at Excel Recording Studio with another friend. And yeah, he gave me an opportunity to mix on the spot. And then he was like, yeah, I want you to mix my album. So that's 2013, 2012 is how I first got into the industry.
What a story, man. Trust me, I got some questions for you later on. what are the musical genres that you know the most when composing and producing, like that you feel comfortable with all the time, or I don't know, most of the time?
I mean, I understand a lot of hip hop music. I say a lot of black music like drill, R&B. That's the music I grew up with. So I understand that music a lot from the 90s hip hop, 2000 hip hop. I kind of really was into that music. Then eventually I learned a lot about rock music and R&B, trip hop, like Radiohead and Portishead, like loads of weird kind of groups. So I was listening to so many types of music that helped me kind of make my style of hip hop a bit unique. So yeah, I feel like hip hop music, rap music, that's the music that I'm known for working on because I know how to make that music sound strong, you know?
Okay, thank you. What type of music would you like to learn more about? Like, you know, like sometimes you get a client or someone like, can you just produce this for me? And you're like, I would really like to learn how to do that. Like, what type of genre of music?
I think bachata is like one of the musics that I would really like to understand how to do properly. Because I know how to play guitar, but just a little bit. I'm not the greatest at guitar. Piano, I can play anything. But like with guitar, it's such a unique sound. And obviously you need the guitar for bachata. So it's like without it, it's very tough to make a bachata. So that's one music I would like to learn how to do. Like I've not produced a bachata yet.
Okay.
So that's one area of music that I see myself doing at some point.
Like, would you be able, like, open to, like, for example, I should just show you one of the songs I've been working on with Código Oficial, the guys from Bachata. And like, if you really want to come and have a look in like how they do it, because he explained me a lot. He knows a lot of the techniques in the guitar, like el mojado and all that stuff is like requinto is like, it's like what?
Yeah,
I mean, like you understand it from like inside, you know, like consciously. Sometimes you can understand it because of the rhythm of it. You grew up with Latino family, and you know how it is. But in terms of like understanding it, the patterns, the percussive stuff, you know,
it's because I studied dance as well, so I used to dance. So I used to go bachata classes, salsa classes, all this stuff. And bachata, I studied a lot of bachata, like sensual bachata, Dominican bachata. So I learned all these styles, and obviously you have to listen to the music. So the Dominican bachata was the vibe I really liked. Then I learned a lot about sensual bachata, and then a lot of the sensual bachata, they would make a lot of mashups, like remixes of popular songs with the bachata. So I was like, how are they doing this so it sounds somehow in a bachata way? So obviously that stuff I found really interesting at the time. But obviously I stopped dancing because I had to focus on the music.
No, absolutely. The next one is, how would you describe your music? What is your audience target? Like, if you could give an identity, a name or something like to describe your music, what would it be? Like, what the words?
I think it's a bit of reggaeton mixed with maybe Latin trap with a bit like Spanglish, because obviously I'm born in London, so I'm kind of from here, but my parents are Colombian. So when I went to Medellin, I just realized I need to be making this music. And I only started dropping music in Spanish in 2018. So 2018 is when I dropped my first song called Talking Spanish. It's a very basic song, you know what I mean? It's so basic, like it's really bad for me anyway. I listened to that song, I'm like, damn, like so basic. Talking Spanish, like, okay. But then that's what started the whole wave. So I just wanted to make something like French Montana and Sway Lee.
Okay.
What's that song called? Unforgettable or
Unforgettable, yeah.
I think that song. So for me, I wanted that vibe, that rhythm. I just really liked that sound. So I was like, yeah, I need to make something like this, but with the Latin vibe, you know? So yeah, I did it, used a bit of English, a bit of Spanish, and then obviously I needed to get better. And then obviously I went to Colombia more. I shot a couple videos in Colombia. I started doing more reggaeton. So I'd say it's a Latin trap hybrid of reggaeton mixed with a bit of English, a bit of Spanish, you know?
You know what, I think like it's something quite unique that it happens, because if you think about it, geographically speaking, when you were born like in England and you got this kind of influences from Latin, it becomes a mix and it becomes something unique with an identity. So it's like Puerto Rico sounds like Puerto Rico, Colombia sounds like Colombia, and like somehow it just develops to a product where it's absolutely unique.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And it just feels unique. It just because I mean I like your music because of that. It's because it's like you.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit more.
I can't tell like, oh, he sounds like, oh, he's got the type bit like, no, I can't really tell. So that's great, that's unique. Now let's jump into the section 2. I think this is like the most important part of the interview, is what the most information is gonna come up. If you don't get any of the questions or something like that, you just tell me and we can follow. Okay, so first one, what are the most important factors to have present when starting to work with an artist?
I think you got to be very open-minded. You got to make the artist feel very comfortable, because at the end of the day, they may be meeting you for the first time, so you got to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So being open-minded to their ideas, how they work, you know, maybe they want some privacy before they warm up, or maybe they want auto-tune on their vocals or effects while they're singing. Just being able to give the artist the experience when you're working with them. So I think that's like one of the main things, is making an artist feel as comfortable as possible, I would say.
Okay. How do you know when an artist is following the right or wrong direction musically, and that they're not trying to force themselves through a musical genre that does not fit with the identity, tonality, or performance?
I think identity or direction, or what the musicality, I think that's a bit more specific. So in a way, that's something that they probably would know more about. But when it comes to like maybe musicality and helping them with the tone of their voice or how to approach a recording, that's where I feel I would come in. But if someone has a musical direction, I'm never going to tell them, you shouldn't make that sort of music, this is not for you. You know what I'm saying? But maybe I could advise them and say, do you know what, that feels a bit too high for your vocal. Why don't we put it a semitone down and let them listen to the song with the pitch a little bit lower, see if they sing it a bit more comfortable. You find a lot of the time, oh yeah, that sounds better, you know, maybe I sing it in this tone. So it's just being able to assess a situation and say, how can I bring the best out of that artist or that situation, you know? But yeah, in terms of like music direction or genre or whatever they should be doing, I wouldn't have an opinion if someone wants to do a certain type of music, you know, even if I think they sound better in another type of music, that's what they want to do, you know?
Okay. I think, yeah, that's quite an important point of view, because, you know, there are producers who are like also really straight to that. Is like, for example, like if you're gonna record perreo or I don't know, hip hop or something, and your vocals are not destined to, like you know, you can perform it, but like if they are not fitting well in the genre, sometimes people can restrict you to that. But like your advice is more like, if that's what you like the result is gonna talk to you about you. The result is what is gonna talk about you.
I feel like people can get experimental. Maybe if someone is trying to do jazz music and they're a rapper and it's just sounding weird, then, you know, you're gonna try and record it, but at the same time, it's like my job is to make them sound as good as possible with what they've given me to work with. And I think that's the skill that I like to have, to be able to make the artist come in with an idea, they're not sure about it, and they leave and they're like, damn, like, you know what, this sounds way better than I thought in my head. So sometimes that happens with all kinds of music, you just never know. But I think if someone is working in a studio I'm working in, it's because they have an idea of what they want to do, and then we're going to take it to the next level.
Okay, thank you very much. In previous interviews, like that I've been watching about you, you mentioned that you are the type of vibes person. How do you approach a case where your ideas and the artist do not match, and you get to the point where you have to decide whether to reject a project or to adapt yourself to it, or the artist to it, or record label pressure, you know? I
mean, sometimes there's a lot of sessions where someone's booked maybe 5-7 hours and the ideas are just not happening. So it can happen a lot of the time where a lot of artists, they don't know what they're doing. So it's happened. They've listened to music for the whole session and they don't want to record anything. So sometimes it can happen, you know, and I'm still gonna get paid anyway. But then at the same time, it's like you cannot force someone to work on ideas and the ideas are not happening. So in a way, it's like you just have to adapt to the situation and be like, oh, why don't we just go for a walk, or let's go for a drink, or, you know, let's order some food, just relax. Let's go back to that beat again. Let's try attack it again. No, I don't really feel like this is for me right now. I don't know what it is. So sometimes these situations happen. I think the artist just wants to feel like you're another friend, a friendly person in the camp, you know? So that's your job, you know, to just assess the situation and just be a friendly face or make them feel comfortable enough to feel how they want to feel. So I think that's quite important a lot of the time.
All right. That being said, this is a good question. So what is your philosophy of work as a producer? And I mean, like, because I know that sometimes you are very minimalistic in terms of like less is more, or, you know, like I like to approach projects where I don't have to overload stuff. But also like with artists, like what's your philosophy of work? Like what's that kind of vision, motivation that like, no, this is me, I'm this producer?
I feel like what you said, less is definitely more. When it comes to, is that computer right?
I think, give me 1 second.
Is it gonna be recorded?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Cool, it's all good.
Thank you.
Yeah. My approach to a lot of music, your ears is the most important thing. So they can give you all these techniques and say, oh, use 2.1 ratio and threshold and say mathematically, you know, if you put 2 point something minus on this compressor, then that equals this on that. You know, I go for more listening to things. That's what I go for. So when I approach something, I usually listen to something and then I try to make sense of it, like what should be where, and I look at it kind of like a dome or something like that, like a sphere. And then I think of like where that music should be placed if someone were to put that dome on their head. You know what I mean? So they put like headphones or speakers, like what is that person meant to be listening to? So that's kind of the approach I go for, is where things should be in a mix. So I don't even think, oh, okay, I'm gonna use this for this, and I'm gonna use this for this and this for that. It's gonna be a case of like listening to something, and sometimes I might not even put that many effects on vocals or sounds. I just kind of balance things out first. Then if I need to put effects on something, then I will put effects on it. So I do have a lot of less is more approach. Sometimes a label or an artist might be like, oh, can I have a look at the mix? And I'd be like, what? Is that all you done to it? And I'd be like, yeah, that's all it needed. But that's my approach. You know what I mean? Maybe they want someone to add all these things, but I've been in a lot of positions where you add so many things and you think, oh yeah, this makes it sound great. Oh, I liked it how it sounded originally. And then you did all this work. So for me, it's like listening to what the artist did, what they like, because a lot of artists have demo-itis and they like how the demo was sounding. That's what made them happy. So my job is like, okay, how can I make the demo 100 times better? But not doing too much, but just, okay, the vocals here, the vocal can pop out a little bit more. The kick, the snare, let me pop that out a little bit more, but keep it in context. So yeah, for me, the most important thing is the ears. And then, yeah, I do have a less is more approach. Like, I don't overload plugins. It's like cooking. Like, you're not going to put paprika, turmeric, cumin, and all kinds of stuff in sancocho, you know?
Just
like,
because of yes.
Yeah, like, you're going to have, like, you might have your carrot, you might have your spring onion, leeks, and potato. That's it. That's all you need. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you going to start adding, I don't know, like...
Because like I know a lot of people that they literally believe that plugins are gonna solve your problems. They don't focus on the recording. Like that's something quite important that you mentioned in Lavo's podcast about quality control, and that is absolutely important. Like being able to record properly, and then that's where you kind of approach it.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's important to have a good vocal chain. Like I feel like if you start off good, then it means that when you get to the mix stage, you're gonna have less things to be fixing. So yeah, use a good microphone from the start. Use a good preamp from the start. Do you know what I mean? And then once you do that, you can't go wrong. Any microphone that costs from maybe $1,000 and up, you're gonna get a good sound. Do you know what I mean? Most big studios or decent enough studios, they have Neumanns or AKG microphones or Sony C800 microphones. You know, if you're using any of these microphones, you're gonna get a good sound. Like, so, yeah.
All right. Do you pre-plan your sessions, and projects that do you approach every session differently, or like why?
I think I usually start with drums.
Okay.
If I'm mixing something, but then there might be a case of like there being a lot of vocals on a song, so then I might start with the vocals. Excuse me. So for me, it comes down to the type of song it is. So if I hear something with a beat and it's like a proper hip hop banger, then I'll mute all the vocals and I'll start with the music first, because the vocals are gonna sit on that beat. So for me, I wanna hear how the vocals are gonna sound on the proper beat. So yeah, sometimes I do start like that. But when it comes to like maybe recording, I might have some templates and I listen to someone, because I've recorded so many artists, I have so many templates of vocals, plugins that, you know, that I would have for somebody. So if I'm working with, let's say Fredo, or I'm working with gigs, and then someone comes in the studio, they got a similar voice, I use those settings, and then I change the settings a little bit for that artist. I mean, I've worked with Central C, for example. If somebody has his type of voice, they got that sort of sound in their voice, then I'm going to use those settings and then tweak them a little bit, you know. But yeah, a lot of the time people start from scratch, okay, EQ and you know, they do what they're doing. I've got so many good presets that I just kind of pick. I need to work fast sometimes, you know.
Keep consistency
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't have like templates where like I throw in sounds and then everything's already mixed. No, I don't do that. Like I kind of mix as I go along. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something that Michael Brower does a lot. Like he's got his desk and everything set up in a way that it just throws audio in and
it just works.
It just works. So, but I think that, you know, is a different philosophy of work. But at the end of the day, it's about what you know. It's about what you're confident about. So I think that's something that artists and producers should learn about. Like, get to know your equipment, get to know what you're using, and just keep going with it, like the consistency. Thank you for that. You probably mentioned this before, but like, do you think having a closer connection with an artist outside your workplace creates a more personal or concrete workflow when understanding new ideas or projects? Like, do you think the studio is only the place to share that, or?
I think it helps to a certain degree. Obviously, they're going to be more comfortable with you. But a lot of the artists I work with, I only work with them in the studio. I don't really hang out with them or nothing like that outside of the studio. So usually, because we work quite a lot and all the time, we end up forming friendships in the studio. So a lot of the times, we're not recording. We might be talking about foolishness, or, you know, listening to video. Oh, you heard this song, wow, I'm not sure about this song, and you know what I'm saying. So you end up having a relationship with a lot of the artists in the studio anyway. But you know, I feel like when I'm outside of the studio, I like to have me time, and you know, I'm not working, so I'd rather be at home watching a TV show or listening to a podcast or something, you know.
Okay, it's like more like just workplace, home, me. It's like that.
Yeah, because I'm constantly working, so I'm constantly with people all the time. Like every day I'm working with different people. So when I'm not working, I need that me time, you know?
No, that's great. That's great to know, because like some people might think like, but nah, you know what I mean? Like people get like that sometimes, and because obviously there are other producers who really like been working with people from the scratch, and it's like years and years, and they keep going. And
no, like I've worked with loads of artists for many years. Like I've been working with like DUKUS, who's like an artist who's really blowing up right now, but I've been working with him for about 5-6 years. So from his first project, second, third project, I've been there the whole way. I've gone to his shows, you know, I've been there when he's started projects to like, you know, him winning the Mobos, and now he's touring Australia. So I have a part in that process. So yeah, we understand each other. He can call me up whenever he wants to call me up, and we have that sort of relationship, but a lot of it is based on music, you know? And that's what his main thing is, being an artist. And my main job is making sure he sounds good as an artist. So yeah, it's like a relationship anyway, you know?
Okay. You probably answered this. Like, what is the best way to develop an artist from scratch when they are beginning to discover a musical identity, a sound signature, that uniqueness that separates them from everybody else? Like, as you mentioned before, some people already have like their own style, and that you don't like to obviously impose them stuff. But like, what's the best way, apart from like being open-minded, like what's the best way to develop them from scratch? Like, they don't know what direction they're in. They really want to discover themselves. They don't know what's the best way as a producer to start like giving them a direction.
You start off with the music they like listening to. So listen to the music they're listening to, what's on their playlists all the time. What sort of music can you picture yourself doing? That's what I usually will ask an artist. What's your favorite songs? Like, what song do you wish you could be on? And then based on that, you kind of start making that sort of music, you know? And the first song that an artist might do, maybe after 5-6 songs, they're like, oh, I hate that song. You know, it's not the song they want to be doing or showing to anybody. So they need to develop, you know? It's like someone who starts drawing, the first drawing's the first drawing. And once they've done 5 or 10 drawings, they're gonna get a better idea of how they're drawing, what techniques they have, what colors they like using. You know, maybe they don't like using colors, and maybe that artist becomes a black and white artist, you know what I mean?
That's
so
just their thing, yeah.
That's their thing. So you need to work on several songs so that people can get an idea of what they like doing, you know? So sometimes it will take a while. So yeah, I work on about 5 or 10 songs, you know?
Okay. Have you had to like pre-plan your productions prior to a session, or like would you recommend this like appropriate way of before like going to a studio? Because you know studio time is not cheap, and there are people that are just coming in and it's like, you know what I mean? Like what recommendations can you get them to like how can I say, like to get used to these habits to like before arranging a session in the studio, that so they can save you time and headaches, and you know?
I mean, practice is always perfect, so I'd always recommend artists to practice anything before they come into the studio, you know? To have an idea of how they're doing a song, not come to the studio with half a song, and then, oh, I'll write the rest of the verse in the studio, or I've got one verse left, or let me do it at the studio, because then they're paying for the studio time, and they're gonna waste their time, and they're gonna get frustrated because they felt rushed. So I always tend to like, usually artists will want to come to the studio if I'm working with them with a song that they've already kind of got in their head. But it depends as well, you know, if I'm seeing this client all the time, they're constantly recording songs, they might want to make something from scratch. So it just all depends on that whole situation, you know?
Okay. When tracking artists, what is your methodology to achieve the best results, and how do you know what take is the take? Like, because like, for example, like, let me give you an example, like Michael Jackson, Bruce Sweden, in one of his interviews, he's a sound engineer, he used to say like, Michael would just switch off the lights all the time and just sing completely dark, and he had to like sometimes go out of the room because he just couldn't handle it. Like, you know, the best performances of Michael like came out like that, just like soft. You know what I mean? Or I don't know, like how was your methodology with artists, like to get out the most of them when tracking?
I mean, I was in a session today and the person wanted the lights off. So that's what happened to me today. They like really wanted the lights super low so that they could get in the mood with the song. And sometimes that works for them. So it's whatever the artist feels comfortable doing. I usually do a lot of comping. So I'll make an artist like sing that same part or find a section that they should be singing, get them to sing that part all the time, and then I comp it and listen to get the best of those takes. So as well as them feeling comfortable in the studio, having the lights low, whatever they feel they want to be doing, then essentially, yeah, you know, if that makes them comfortable, then yeah, you know, and then loads of comping, you know. I make someone just record loads of takes and then if they're not doing it right, I stop the song and I'll be like, you need to aim here and do this a bit better, and then we try go again until we get the right takes, you know.
You know, that probably might be interesting for you to know, but like I've been doing this tracking process in the studio at uni and stuff, I've been experimenting with this solid idea and never fails. Probably you can try it out. And it's like when people want to sing a particular, you know, rap or phrase or the chorus or something, and it's quite emotional or it's got this kind of anger into it, or I don't know. I usually tell them when I just don't get it, the emotion probably is in tune, probably they sing in the range it should be, like you say, the comping thing. But sometimes what happens is like, I tell them, you know what gets you to feel that real emotion? It's like, oh, I broke up with this girl, or oh, I had a bad day in my job, or like, no, I love my mom, or, you know, like, and it's like, can you please take out a photo of your mom on the phone or whatever, just look at it for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds and, you know, sometimes it just gets them in that mood. It's absolutely, yeah. It's crucial to me. Yeah. I don't know why, but it just works.
Just does something, yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel in the mood today. I don't want to feel, and it's like, just look at that or remind yourself of that moment, and for some reason it just works. It's just weird. I don't know why, but I don't know, it just helps.
It makes sense, yeah, 100%.
How likely do you suggest artists to learn about recording themselves to create demos? Or any other purposes, suggestions you could advise to them?
Again, make sure you have a decent home set up. You don't need nothing crazy expensive, but you know, if you've got a laptop, have a MacBook Pro. Doesn't have to be the latest one. 2-3 years old. You know, make sure it's got a decent amount of RAM. Get yourself a nice little sound card. You can get yourself an Apollo Twin or something like that, the cheapest range. They've even got vaults now, UAD vaults, which are even cheaper than a UAD, or you've got Focusrites, you know, you've got all kinds of sound cards. Learn how to use Logic, learn how to use Fruity, learn how to use Ableton, and just get better at recording yourself. Some artists have done that and they bring me the sessions and I put it on them. I say, oh man, what are you doing here? Like, why are you recording like this? Look at all these takes. I'm like, bro, you need to do this, do this, like da-da-da-da. I'm just straight up with people so that they can get better. And then once you put them through their paces, they're just gonna get better and better. Every time they bring something to you, be like, look, label this, do this, all these tracks, start hiding this, you don't need to do this. You know, just get people better at recording. So sometimes I have sessions where someone will pay me just to look at how they do a session. And then anytime they're going wrong, I tell them, look, do this, or do you know what I mean? So that they can get better at recording themselves at home. So it's like anything, practice, you know? You gotta practice and practice like crazy.
And following on that, should the artist know some basic technical language to at least being able to communicate their ideas more effectively to the producer or sound engineer?
I think it's the engineer's job to kind of try and understand the artist more than the other way around.
Okay.
So, you know, sometimes an artist is not going to know what a high cut is and be like, oh, I don't know how to explain it. The amount of times us as engineers or producers have said, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know how to explain it. Happens so many times. So like your job should be like do you mean this, or do you want to do this and feel like it's underwater? Yeah, underwater. So, you know, you show them technique, and then if that's the case, then they've learned something, and now they become better at explaining themselves. So I think it's a case of they should do some research, but they're gonna find out in the studio with the right people, you know.
Have you had to work stock on to a brief or compulsory instructions? How do you feel about it, and why will you or will you not prefer it? Like when they give you a brief, it has to be this and this and this and this kind of instruments. I don't know, like, how is it? Like, 'cause
it's happened to me before. I mean, I was just telling you, I was just doing some work for a company, and the brief was, it needs to be this, it needs to be Latin trap, it needs to have like some kind of salsa and some kind of horns. So I already knew what it has to be, and it's not the style of music that I normally do. But then in a sense, it was like, it's something that I gotta do because it's the brief, you know? And then if you want that placement, then you have to stick to the brief, you know? A lot of the times it happens. There's a lot of productions and songs that I know it's not my forte, or it's not what I'm strong at, but I'm gonna give it a go because that's the brief. So sometimes you just have to, you know?
Okay, thank you very much. This is important to know as well. Have you ever had to encounter a situation of friction in the studio where you've had to manage the professionalism rather than your personal preferences? If so, how was it? How do you face it? What advice can you give to others who might face similar scenarios?
Well, I've been in sessions where, you know, maybe an artist, they got their egos, they might bring loads of entourages and stuff like this. And then you got the people who manage the studios, or the people who own the studios. They see what's going on in cameras and they don't like, hey, what's going on in my studio? Da, 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 da. They need to get out of there. So it's like, it's how you damage control in a lot of situations, you know? So I feel like even though I'm in a situation where a studio session's getting out of control, maybe someone's getting too drunk or something like that, usually I'll speak with the best friends or the people that are really looking out for them and say, hey, look, man, he's a little bit drunk. Maybe you should get him in a cab home or something like that, you know, because people are starting to, you know, or maybe it's a case of like, people are just leaving mess everywhere. They're not, it's like, it's not a studio session anymore, it's a party or something like this.
Yeah.
So sometimes these things can happen. So where you can get mad and get angry, but that's not gonna stop the party. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, not saying you should join in the party, but at the same time, it's like knowing to be a part of a situation and not maybe be the bad guy in the situation. Everybody has to leave, and then, you know what I'm saying, and make the situation more awkward. It's a case of like, you have to know how to react in every situation, and sometimes you being professional and dealing with it the right way, that will go back to management, that will go back to the record label, and then they'll be like, oh, do you know what? He really was a cool engineer, or he was a cool producer. Oh man, he looked out for us, you know what I'm saying? So it just depends on how you're gonna be in a situation, you know?
You know, I never thought about it in that way, because, you know, there are people that, or they can just whisper something on the microphone about, yeah, let's take that. You know what I mean? And it's that type of situation when you have to like encounter it, and it's like, I know. Okay, just getting to the last questions.
Sure.
What do you think about record labels? Is it a viable option to still consider? Any advice for new artists, contracts and that stuff from your experience?
I think a record label can help in so many situations, and it works for different people in different ways. Like for me, I was in a label situation and it didn't work for me twice. So it's definitely not for me from what I've seen, but it works out for so many other people, you know? Maybe a publishing deal works better rather than an actual record deal. So it depends on the artist, depends what you want to do as a producer, as an artist. If you're an artist and you really want to get into the pop world, or you have a certain look, maybe a label could take you even further in your career. But I feel like there's so much you can do independently without a label anyway. So I would say explore and do as much as you can independently. And then once you get to a certain level, labels are going to come knocking anyway. So it's a case of like, labels are important to a certain degree, and it's good to have a good relationship with labels. But at the same time, you don't need to be on a label to be successful.
No, absolutely not. And do you think like, do you have to always be like careful with contracts or anything like that?
100%. You have to have a good lawyer. You have to have someone who understands law so that you sign the right contract. I've made mistakes before, and then it's taken me ages to come out of a contract because I didn't look at one detail. And you think you're looking for the right things. It's like, you know, you go for a picnic or you go to the beach and I've got everything. I bought drinks, and then you get to the beach, you're like, I forgot this. You know what I'm saying? So contracts can be a little bit like that. You know what I mean? You think you're going over stuff, but someone who's a good lawyer who understands contracts, it's always good to get someone who understands that stuff. Because, you could be missing a vital piece of information.
Taking in account all your experiences and learning from your journey as a producer, how do you recommend to new producers to start? Like, what is the starting point? Okay, I've got this equipment, I've got my laptop, I've got MIDI keyboard, the Logic. I know I've been using this, I've been producing these tracks. Where can I start to get that growth? Networking, or I don't know.
I feel like social media, as bad as it is for certain things, it's really good for like personal development if you use it the right way. So like once you're kind of like confident in what you're doing to a certain degree, post some stuff online, use your stories, you know, post little clips of what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. So just post some snippets of your music, see what people say, you know, you just never know who could be listening. I think being consistent in any kind of field is where you're going to see results. If you want to go to the gym just once a month, you're probably going to see minimal results. So it's the same in the studio. You want to see results, you got to be producing regularly, you got to be recording regularly so that you become better at recording and understand what you're listening to. So it's the same with production. You have to practice all the time, you know?
There is kind of the philosophy of Andrew Sheps that he basically hates the fact that, you know, working free, non-paid work, just to start with. Like, I'm just gonna start offering my services of production, of just giving out my beats because it could get me to a certain level of, you know, social, you know, cycle or something like that. Like, do you advise to ever do that or not? Like, no, you need to always...
I think it depends on the situation. If you're doing it for friends and cool people or people that you're building a brand with, then maybe yes. But like, you know, a lot of the time, you don't have to work for free. You know, at the end of the day, you have to value your time, and time is money at the end of the day. So if you're providing a service, especially to people you don't know, who maybe want to use you, you can't just let people use you for free either. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just a free Uber driver, just, you know, just taking people everywhere they want to go just because you're going to do them a favor. They're not even going to give you the petrol money and nothing. And they want you to drive you, and they want you to drive them an hour away. So it's the same with the music. Like, I feel like if you're working on a product and it's good enough, then why not charge for it, you know? Then someone's going to be willing to pay. Always. So those are the people you should be working with, especially if they're new prospective clients. Same time though, if you get the opportunity to work with Drake, you're not going to say, hey, Drake, I want 2,000. Get the hell out of here. And then he doesn't even use your beat. You know, whereas you could have worked with Drake for free, and then that song is going to get you thousands of other jobs because you worked with Drake. So it's judging the situation and seeing where it makes sense to work with someone for free. Do you know what I'm saying? So if it makes sense, then yeah, do it. But if it's someone who's getting 76 views on YouTube, they don't even get 100 streams on Spotify, and now you're going to give them free music so nobody listens to it? Make them pay for that.
The other day, I found out one of your tracks in Entre Villas, the Netflix series. I literally typed that to you. I was like, no way. And I've been talking to my colleagues, my brothers, and then they've been like, how did he do it? Like, what's the steps that you should take to get to that level of, like, you know, sync and stuff and sending music to libraries? Do you think that is only for streaming that you should be worried about? Is it only streaming, or should you just work as well for like library stuff and sync?
100%. Like, try and get some library stuff sorted, you know? You can find out the companies that are syncing the stuff, find out who are the best sync companies. try and set up a meeting with somebody at these sync companies and play them your music and say, hey, look, I've got a bunch of music. I've heard this stuff in this series. I believe I've got this style of music myself. So, you know, how about, you know, you use 5 of my songs, negotiate something for those songs, because those contracts, those people get paid a lot of money for using those songs. So there's little deals that you can make from those songs. Once you work your way up, you can charge more, and then eventually, you know, you're going to get royalties from all of this stuff. You know, sometimes it takes a while. I only just started seeing royalties now from a lot of those songs.
Okay.
So, you know, Entre Vías came out just last year, isn't it? So I'm not going to see any of those royalties till probably this year or next year. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
So you got to keep pushing and get people to listen to your music, because whenever they use it, you know, it's going to be a good thing for you later on down the line. So imagine you got 50, 100 songs in series and all this stuff. Those royalties are going to take time, but they're going to come at some point, you know? So I definitely recommend pitching your music to sync libraries and seeing what can be done, you know?
Are there like filters in terms of like getting to these people? Like obviously I've heard of people like just go to LinkedIn, get your LinkedIn properly, CV and stuff, and then that's the way you get to
It's
them.
a good way
like,
as well, yeah, definitely.
is that the only way, or do you think
It's
like
not
there
the only way.
Okay.
Find people's emails, go on Twitter, like go on Facebook, find out where these people are, you know? It's like I'm cool with the people at Sony, the finance people. I find out where they hang out and stuff like that. You get to know them, and then they might introduce you to someone who might know somebody who needs a certain type of a job. You know, that's how a lot of jobs I've gotten, is because I'm cool with the people at the studios, and they say, hey, I know somebody who knows somebody, and then they listen to your stuff and, hey, if you got anything, just send something over, because you kept that relationship cool. So LinkedIn's not the only place, but just make use of all the socials and stuff like that.
Okay. So just to finish, I've got some quotes by yourself.
Okay.
And I want to read them out loud because I think it's important. It's like highlights.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, you know, I've done my homework. Like,
Okay.
so this is what you said to DJ Dub, like it was an interview during the pandemic.
Okay.
And I just thought like, wow, that's good. I want to be able to make music and not to think too much like, okay, I've got to make a radio-friendly trap. That got to work in the clubs. Like this DJ will play it. That kind of stuff. Like that was a good kind of phrase I got from that interview, because like is you saying, I'm not making music because I'm aiming to just be mainstream. It's because you know, I like to make music and I feel this about it. Like, what do you think, like the vibes, or do you think like you should always think about as well, what's the marketing, what's happening in now? I don't know.
I think obviously you want to feel current to a certain degree. So you're not going to make just music you're going to listen to yourself. But at the same time, you should make what you want to make as well. If you have a certain style of music you want to make and you're passionate about it, you should be passionate about it. Don't just think, oh, what can we make just for the club? Or what should we, if you like the club and you like hearing music in the club, oh, I'd love this type of song to play in the club, then that's a good thing. But rather than say, oh, we need to make a song like Bad Bunny's song, we need to make another Titi Me Preguntó like type of song, then you're just going to copy the song and do what he done because he done it. It's like, you got to do things because you want to do them. Like if you want to make a song for the clubs because when you go to the club, like, I'd love to have that feeling of my song playing in a club, then make that song for the club. You know what I'm saying? So do the things you want to do because you want to do them, not because someone else did it and now you want to do it. I think that's kind of more my mentality. That's
basically the phrase you said. I'm trying to make music that's truthful to me.
Yeah, I think it's important. You make music that's true to you, because at the end of the day, it's like, you got to live with it. Once you put it out there, you got to live with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important what you do, you know? It's not like Instagram, you start taking a picture down, oh, I hate that picture, I'm going to delete it. Music it kind of lives out there, you know? It's a part of you.
I want to be the hardest work in the room. That's something that you said for Masters at Work. Quite important phrase. In the music industry, they're doing a lot to try and capture what a lot of people can do independently. That's what another thing you said. So you think like you should be independent to a certain point, or you get yourself a team? Or?
I think it's good to have a team of people. Like, you're gonna get further if you have a team of people. There's always a goodness in having the right people around you. You can't just do everything yourself. It's impossible. You know, I can do something up to a certain point, but then you're gonna need someone to do the marketing. You're gonna need somebody to do, you know, the graphic design and all these things. So rather than try and do everything yourself, if you can do it, good. But if you've got a team of people, you're just gonna get further because everybody's gonna have different things to do in that team. It doesn't mean you might be the leader all the time. You just got to know to play your position at times, you know? So sometimes I'm a sound engineer, another time I'm an artist, another time I'm a songwriter, another time I'm just a consultant. They just want me in the studio that day just to be a part of the vibes, to help the song come along, but they don't want me to engineer. You know, sometimes they might want me to assist and might not even want me in the session. They just need me if they need me in case anything goes wrong, but they want me in the other room. And I got to know how to play my role. Do you get what I'm saying? So, yeah, being a part of a team and knowing your role sometimes is very important. And I think it's good to understand to do things to a certain point independently, but it's good to be a part of a team as well, you know?
Amazing. The antagony phrase of DUKUS as well. Nowadays, anyone can make music and get lost. It's like a teardrop in the bloody ocean. What do you think of that? You said it yourself.
Oh, wow. It's true though, you know, like so many people want to do music now. It's the same as like people started jumping on YouTube, want to become YouTubers. You go on YouTube, you're going to find tons of YouTubers. So it's like if you go on Spotify, you're going to find endless amounts of music and you might stumble across new musicians all the time. So the level playing field is hard because so many people are doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? There's more and more studios out there. So yeah.
Bro, this is the last question and let's finish with this because I think it's a quite important thing. To myself, personally, when I was watching this kind of video about masters at work, you said something that really touched me, like really deep. Because I didn't know this about you, and probably this is something very personal to you, and just let me know if you're just not comfortable talking about it. But like, to a certain degree, you went through a lot of mountains, climbing mountains. Like, you mentioned something about that there was a point where you were literally homeless and sleeping in hostels. You know, like, and now you just got to a degree where it's like, DUKUS in the studio, working for people. But I think, like, have you ever felt like that hunger is gone? Like, what motivates you to come out of this? Like, you know what I mean? It's so inspiring, man, because I never knew this about you. And like, from the beginning, you were the one that inspired me to become better. Like, tons of times you told me, like, and I hope that you can even produce better. And like, I'm now in that point when like, I'm gonna be a music tech, and it's like,
yeah,
you know,
you've gotten better, of course.
And it's like, you know, like, but because I've got that hint from you, you know what I mean? And it's like, this is the point of this interview. Like, all the people can watch it and say, oh, you know, like, he did it, I can do it. But like, as you say, you have to be the heart that's working the room. So what can you tell me about that experience that, like, you know, it's quite tough, you know?
I mean, yeah, like I said, I was signed to a label and things didn't go well and I couldn't get out of my contract and I couldn't release any music. So I was very frustrated. I was in a bad toxic relationship where they didn't believe in my music. So it was very tough for me, you know? I stopped doing music, I got angry, maybe I started drinking too much, forget music, this whole idea. And then when things didn't work out with this other person, they kicked me out. I didn't really have a home. So yeah, I ended up having to live in a hostel because I think I had too much pride at the time to speak to my parents and go home. And like, you know, I wanted to prove that I could do it. And then maybe I was in a little bit of a limbo for like, I don't know, a good 2, 3, 4 years or something like that, just trying to get up out of that pit. And then when I started getting like my apartment, I got a little studio flat, then I got an apartment. I managed to get this iMac that my uncle gave me. It was like, okay, you know, I can actually do this. I can actually work on music and people like the music. So I don't know, that hunger, it stays. Like sometimes you have ups and you have downs, like all the time. Like I was literally having a great Valentine's Day. I came out of the hotel and I crashed my car. So it's like, you know, just spent all this money on Valentine's and then now I've crashed my... Do you know what I'm saying? But it's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? My car's all right. I can still drive. I can fix that at another time. So things just happen, you know, and now I need the hunger to get the money to fix the car. So it's the same as that type of situation. Yeah, that was a very low point, and that makes me realize that place where I was at, I never want to be there again. So obviously I use that motivation and then think to myself, damn, you got to that point where you was living in a hostel, you didn't have no music equipment because you were too proud to speak to anybody for help. So sometimes you have to ask for help and be like, do you know what? I should have spoken with my mom. I should have spoken with my dad. And maybe I wouldn't have been in a hostel. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but those are little things that you have to learn, you know. There was years where I had loads of money from music and, you know, I thought that money was never going to run out. So I'm buying Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, you know, buying myself a Rolex. And then all of a sudden that money's not there no more. So then what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And things are hard. You're having to sell all the name brand stuff you had on eBay and you know, you're realizing like I've got £1,000 pairs of trainers and I can't even pay the rent this month. What the hell am I doing with all these trainers? So, you know, that's happened to me before and I've realized to myself, do you know what? I need to value certain things much more, you know. So it's always up and down. You're always going to have hunger to be in better positions and you have to keep that motivation because that's the only way you can be on top, you know.
Man, thank you. Like, I always wanted to know about this and I think it's important for people to know because some people say, oh, he's working in that studio for this certain record labels, and it's like, you know, they don't know anything about like what you've been through. Like you're really hard to work it out. And it's quite tough. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. Like, I mean, there's loads of situations where, you know, you might have loads of jobs this year. Like I was in a position where I was working with maybe 3-4 signed artists and they're paying amazing money to work per song. You know, I'm working on 40, 50, 60 songs a year. And they're paying 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 per song to work on those songs. So yeah, you know, every month you're seeing money. You know what I'm saying? You're thinking this money's never gonna run out. But the artist just got dropped. Now they're not working at the label. And you thought, oh, this album, you know, what about the album we was gonna work on? Like, oh yeah, the album's not happening no more. Then another artist who he's working with, they got dropped. So now 2 artists got dropped and maybe you're gonna miss out on 40, 50,000 pounds now. And whoa, I thought, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like this project that you thought you was gonna work on, you know, somehow your manager, their manager, they couldn't negotiate. Now you don't have that project. But that project was about 15 grand, like, you know, that project, you know. And they say, yeah, the project's not happening no more. Yeah, we couldn't agree on a price. But like, why didn't anybody speak with me? So sometimes these situations happen. So it's like you have really good years where things are really happening and then you just got to be ready to work. And when an opportunity comes, you just got to be ready, you know. And some years are better than other years. You know, this person might be the go-to engineer, producer this year. And then another year it's you. Then another year somebody else. So you just got to be consistent. You got to be ready when it's your time. You can't take too many things personal because if you do, it's going to be mad all the time, you know? So yeah.
DUKUS, thank you very much for this interview. I'm so happy, like you learn a lot. I think the guys learned a lot, like, thanks to my friends who are always out there to support me. Like literally, they've been with me since the morning, carrying out stuff from my uni back home. You know, el almuerzo mi mamá, let's get this done, coming back here. It's like, you know, it's such a great thing to have as well, like friends and people to count on. And I'm so happy, bro. Like, thank you very much. I always give you the respect and I'm always aiming to get better to the point like you tell, like, this guy is good. This guy's good there.
It's all good, man. Thank you.
Thank you, DUKUS.
Nice one, Jeff.
El DJ la excitó y la música se paró. Wow, wow, y cuando eso rebotó, ahí me di cuenta que es bandolera como yo. And I leave it weak like Bambi. I could tell the way she done, she really want me. Yeah, yeah, loquita pero tranqui. Y en el carro se quitó los panties. Yeah, yeah. And I leave it weak like Bambi. I could tell the way she done, she really want me. Yeah, yeah, loquita pero tranqui. Y en el carro se quitó los panties. Yeah, yeah. Yo no sé qué me pasó.